Can't. Good evening, Chantel. Duma. What up, Duma? Mr. Kilroy. Chillin'. Y'all know, just waiting for a few people before we get this popping. What up, Uptown? All right. Just waiting for one more or two more people and we get it going. We're going to get it cracking, get it popping, cracking, popping. What up, Trina? What's good, Trina? All right. Well, as people are strolling in, let's get it rolling. I'm sure some of y'all saw this pop up. Tonight's topic. I'm going to revisit an old topic, but this old topic has a lot of relevancy for today. And that's utilizing what some would consider fictitious mythology or fictitious lore and applying it to your life. It's sort of kind of like utilizing chaos magic. So let's begin. And I'm going to begin with this brief description, which comes from the Left Hand Path Traveler's Guidebook. And it states, most practitioners of the Left Hand Path believe in apotheosis, which is self-divinity. We actively seek higher truths. We test our knowledge and skills. We challenge our own beliefs. We do so that we may obtain greater knowledge and a better understanding, that we may reach our highest ideals, to be more godlike in our lifetime, to seek out our own potential, perfection, presence, and powers that can create and or destroy, to become and experience greatness in our life. However, the right-hand path will scorn such desires and attribute them to carnality, pride, or selfishness. They will advocate that you are not a god, that you should worship and bow down to God or God's awesome power. A power, a god or gods or goddesses that exist somewhere outside of you by whatever name. The right-hand path has a charade of gods to blame for humanity's shortcomings. And they all think their God is the one and only. And they will kill to prove it. Very familiar to a lot of us who came through a lot of these monotheistic religions. And they all think their God is the one and only. Sounds familiar, huh? So, they will kill to prove it. That they've done thousands of years, been killing, whether it's the Muslims and their tactics to try to promote their Islam whether it's the Christians utilizing their tactics across the planet to promote their belief in God, or whoever or whatever else. It's always being promoted to basically give you the belief of external worship, external gods, external things. However, the person walking the left-hand path, or as I like to call it, the path of self-mastery. I try to get away from that right-hand path, left-hand path description, because the left-hand path has been unfortunately synonymously associated with things that I don't feel really a left-hand path. But anything that's against what people consider the norm, they're going to describe it as left-hand path. I try to stick to the path of self-mastery, because regardless of what you utilize or what path you utilize, methodology, techniques, magical systems, whatever you want to call it, to become a master over yourself, so be it. I'm not one to tell you that you should or shouldn't use that. You can use whatever the heck you feel transforms you to becoming more godlike. So for now on, in most videos, instead of just using left-hand path all the time, I'll start utilizing the words path of self-mastery, all right? Anyways, but because I'm reading, I'm going to use what they say here. The left-hand path, or the practitioner of the left-hand path, will take aspects and ideals. Wait a second, y'all. Wait a second. Where is this coming from? Unbelievable. Anyways, they will utilize, or was I? Damn it. My computer tripping. All right. Left-hand path, a person walking the left-hand path will take aspects and ideals embodied by such gods and find them within him or herself for the express purpose to better him or herself, be it Azoth, Baphomet, Buddha, Christ, Enki, the Great Spirit, Heru, Jehovah, Krishna, Lucifer, Ptah, Pan, Ra, Satan, or Set, etc., etc., etc. Each deity embodies a certain ideal of presence. Person walking the left-hand path will invoke this ideal presence from within her own being. This technique of using the power of belief to one's advantage instead of being controlled by it to one's disadvantage is a practical theory of chaos magic. Chaos magic, by its theory, not just so much its practice, by its theory, is essentially a left-hand path system, in that it does not follow any rules but your own. Right-hand path systems are a product of our primitive mind, which encourages us to belong to the herd clan mentality, to follow and not to lead. Now, I use that for this segue to introduce tonight's topic of the Sith Sorcery and utilizing that power within your everyday life. Many people will be like, yeah, but that's a fictitious lore or mythology created by George Lucas in movies. Well, true, but it's only partially true. And why I say that is because when you really do an in-depth study of the Sith, the philosophy of the Sith, the principles of the Sith, the order of the Sith, you can find basis for that philosophy right here on the planet Earth. And for example, the Temple of Set. You can find many things in the Temple of Set that resonate with the Sith lore, Sith philosophy. Okay? George Lucas didn't just by happenstance write something without him actually studying, learning, and being inspired by certain things to create a lore, okay? A mythology, a fictitious mythology, whatever you want to call it. Well, if you know anything about chaos magic, as we just read here, you can utilize any one of these so-called gods, goddesses. You could have utilized fictitious lores or mythology. For example, you have H.P. Lovecraft. Many people utilize Cthulhu in the aspects of Nyarlathotep Hotep and things of that nature, but that was from the mind and the thoughts of H.P. Lovecraft. No doubt he tapped into some serious things that were in his subconscious mind and unconscious mind, where he was able to bring that out, write books about it, and people in Chaos Magic and others actually can utilize and have utilized that to their advantage for the express purpose of their growth, their transformation, and becoming godlike. So that's what I present here this evening, is how to utilize the Sith lore, the philosophies, the teachings, and the sorcery and the power behind it to your advantage in your life in this present day system as an individual walking the path to become more godlike. Now, if you're presently tuning in for the first time and your goal is not to be godlike, well, we will politely say goodbye and you can exit stage left. But if your express purpose is to become more godlike in this lifetime, then continue listening. So let's go into the lore or history of the Sith. Okay? First of all, the Sith Order was a sect of Force sensitives who utilized dark side of the Force. Of course, you know there's the Force, which is basically an energy field of all existing energy and power in the universe. You could call it prana, you could call it chi, sechem, all kinds of things. You can find this in living energy, and all systems on this planet, ancient to modern, have a belief in life energy, okay? Or energy that governs life or the planet, or the universe, or the solar system, however far you want to extend it. The term Sith originally referred to a species of aliens native to the planets Korriban and Ziost, who were later enslaved and ruled by exiled Dark Jedi from the Galactic Republic. Keep that in mind. The Sith were natives to this area, and they were later enslaved and ruled by exiled Dark Jedi from the Galactic Republic. Keep that in mind and try to understand how this sounds like a familiar story, okay? These Dark Jedi had once been members of the Jedi Order, a monastic Force religion dedicated to peace through the use of the light side of the Force. The Dark Jedi who refused to rely exclusively on the light side challenged the Jedi by giving in to the dark side, which started the 100 Years of Darkness. However, they had been defeated and subsequently exiled from known space, which led to the discovery of the Sith species. Following centuries of interbreeding and mixing of cultures between the aliens and exiles, the Sith would no longer be identified by their race, but by their dedication to the ancient Sith philosophy. The religious order would survive in many different incarnations throughout galactic history. Excuse me, y'all. The rise of a new leader or Dark Lord will often cause drastic reorganizations in the cult. However, the Sith would always be characterized by their lust for power and their desire to destroy the Jedi Order. The Sith were the most infamous of all Darksiders, and the members of the cult were often seen as the pinnacle of power within the dark side. Keep that in mind. Now, a little brief history, a little bit about the philosophy. Forged by fire. If you seek to aid everyone that suffers in the galaxy, you will only weaken yourself and weaken them. There's the internal struggles. Jeez, let me repeat that again. It is the internal struggles when fought and won on their own, that yield the strongest rewards. If you care for others, then dispense with pity and sacrifice and recognize the value in letting them fight their own battles. That's a juicy mouthful, but one that I think that many people should take and really understand. You understand? A lot of people have been conditioned, programmed by religion, which then society adapts certain religious tenets to try to govern their society, even though there's supposed to be separation of church and state. And this philosophy that comes out of religion is care for people. Be nice to people. Be loving. Be compassionate. But Darth Trier here states, in what I believe is a philosophy of those who are trying to master themselves. You don't seek to aid everyone. We have to really stop and address that within ourselves if that's something we do. You only weaken yourself, and the most important part, not only do you weaken yourself, you weaken that individual you're trying to help too. You think you're coming to the rescue as Captain Save-A-Lot, but unfortunately, you're actually weakening them because you're taking away from them the inner struggle that they need, that is necessary for them to be able to have or learn power within themselves to accomplish goals or come through the other side of a conflict or struggle. So because of that, we have to really take that into account. The Sith believed that conflict was the only true test of one's ability, whether it's internal conflict, external conflict, conflict in itself. The Sith believed was the true test of one's ability. We've repeated this over and over in many of our videos. If you're on the path of self-mastery, aka left-hand path, we challenge ourselves. And in that challenge, there will rise up conflict, internal conflict, external conflict, things of that nature. It is necessary for the conflict to arise for you to be able to really master yourself. No true self-mastery comes if everything is just plush, lovely, peaceful, nice, and you're just living fat off of whatever. The struggle is what promotes introspection, is what promotes questioning of yourself, is what promotes facing your weaknesses. Things of that nature do not happen when you're just sitting around and everything is lovely. And you think you're in tune with the universe and you're puffing away and nature provided this weed for me and it's all good. Yeah, okay. All you're doing is drowning many times the things that you should be discussing or dealing with in whatever external source you choose to use. If that's what you choose, keep puffing, or whatever else you choose. It's all good. I don't judge people for what they do, but you have to ask yourself, is this an external crutch or am I making excuses? But you find that out on your own. So the internal conflict is of the utmost importance in your growth. Now, bear with me as we go through this because the juicy part is going to come. The juicy part is the Sith Sorcery. The juicy part is how to really utilize the Sith Sorcery as a black adept, walking this path, how to really apply it into your daily life, not just in front of an altar or within your sacred space or whatever, but in an actual day-to-day usage within your walkings and events of life. So once again, the Sith believed that conflict was the only true test of one's ability and so emphasized its importance. It was their belief that conflict challenged both individuals and civilizations, and so forced them to grow and evolve. They believed that the avoidance of conflict, like the pacifist teachings of the Jedi, resulted in stagnation and decline. Geez, that sounds familiar. Anyways, another purpose served by the conflict was the elevation of the strong and the death of the weak. Well, what does that mean? Well, essentially, not just so-called survival of the fittest, but it's the elevation of your strong qualities, your strongest qualities, and the death of the weakest part of yourself that you cannot utilize as some transmutation or utilize alchemy to take those weak parts and utilize them into or turn them into strengths. There's just certain weaker parts of yourself that you just really are not going to need anymore. And you have to put those to death. Okay? By encouraging strife or conflict, the strong were able to exercise their power while the weak are weeded out. A core tenet to Sith philosophy was self-reliance and the idea that an individual only deserved what they were strong enough to take. I'm with this 100%. If you're too weak, then unfortunately in this society you will get shitted on, trounced on, walked on, and people just take advantage of that. But if you're working on mastering yourself, you will bring the strongest parts of yourself to the surface, and you will no longer be taken advantage of. If in fact you have had that happen to you in your life, once you take your power back, that strength of yourself, you no longer become a carpet for people who look at you as weak. You're no longer weak. So, likewise, morality was treated as an obstacle to be overcome, something we've talked about over and over. Yes, morality is a part of life, but is your morality self-created or created by family, your culture, your religion, or somebody else's philosophy overall? In essence, everybody will have some level of morality, but your morality should be self-created, not influenced or programmed by an external source. So why we question everything is because you have to question even the morality that you have believed in forever. There's just certain things that you have to really question. Are they really beneficial to me by accepting or believing this part of what I've been taught is moral or immoral? Because usually what's considered moral or immoral is usually programmed by society. And it's usually them telling you what's right or wrong. You really think you're determining what's right or wrong for yourself. Bullshit. Most of us do not determine what's right or wrong for ourselves. Religion has determined what's right or wrong for ourselves. Our families program, which they were programmed by society, culture, etc., taught us that from early childhood. People always tell me, oh, kids are so innocent and beautiful. Okay, sure. Then if that's the case, why is one of the first nature of a kid is to take something from another kid as if it's theirs? Why do you have to sometimes teach a kid to share? Don't tell me that all kids are just angels and lovely and glorious. Bullshit. I have many kids in my family, and some of them are straight tyrants. Okay? I don't give a damn about all that angels and they're just so lovely and all that. Please. Some of them are straight tyrants, and I've seen them since they were 2-3 years old being straight tyrants. You have to sometimes teach a kid how to be nice, so-called nice. You have to teach a kid to share sometimes, because one of the first natures I notice in kids is to claim everything as theirs, even if it don't belong to them. Two siblings, you have a 3-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl. He'll go and take, he got his own toys. He'll go and take the toy from his sister, who's younger, and just take it as if his. She go run into mommy or daddy to get the toy back because he's being a bully. Come on, please, cut it out. Anyways, empowered by passion. What fuels your power with the force but your passion? The stronger, darker emotions, anger, hatred, fear, these passions actually empower you more than they weaken you. That's opposing the right-hand path mentality, whose first tendency is to run from what they consider negative emotions. But if you really want to master yourself, as Carl Jung stated, it's done in the shadow work. And the shadow work is done and focused on things that are not so much focused on at large by society or anything else. It's about those parts of ourselves that are not considered right, acceptable, or whatever in society. And thus what we do is we take our emotions and we bury them. And then it becomes an anger issue, which then you need anger management, because you're never taught to embrace anger and channel it and transmute it to a more a stronger force that can be utilized as a benefit. We're taught to run from it. We're taught to hide it. And then this is why people snap or go crazy in this society, because all your life you're taught to suppress your emotions. All your life you're taught to suppress your thoughts and ideas. All your life you're taught to suppress those things that are not commonly accepted, so don't talk about it. So then what happens is then people, the more they suppress things, they act out in crazy behavior that becomes violent, aggressive, or hurtful to children, to women, to men, to whoever, because we don't ever let people express themselves and teach them how to deal with it and empower themselves to learn how to master and control that. So what you then get is a society based upon a bunch of people excuse me, who have so much aggression and anger and frustration that you get these crazy ass killers. Okay? Just going up and shooting up people in school because some of these kids don't really get to express themselves. Don't really get to speak out. Yes, predominantly they can tend to be of a certain race, but don't get it twisted, because all races have cuckoo crazy people in it too. Okay? It's not just predominantly just manifest in a certain race, but all races have these cuckoo people too. You could go back through history and see that. So we have to learn how to really embrace the passionate part of ourselves, the emotional part of ourselves, to understand those emotions in the first place. If I was to take a survey right now and ask everybody on here, what is your understanding of anger? I'd probably get 1,000, or, well, ain't that many people watching, but I'd probably get several different answers. And then I'd ask you, what is your belief about anger? And I'd get several different answers, but one common theme would probably lay true. Most people, some way, somehow, will still have a negative view of it, or it's associated with some kind of negative connotation. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just saying, a lot of times that is because we still have never learned to embrace that part of ourselves. Well, the Sith believed in embracing that very part of yourself that the rest of the people want to run and hide from. They believe you focus on that part of yourself and then learn how to empower yourself through it. How to take your anger, instead of venting it out on other people sometimes, you use it to give you focus on accomplishing your goals and your plans that you've been lazy about. Learn to transmute that into something that's productive for your growth. That's the power of utilizing this lore into your everyday life. But there's more. Let's begin here. What is the Sith code? Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The fourth, okay, now let's break that down a little more. When you look at the fact that it says peace is a lie, it doesn't mean that peace in essence is a lie. It means that this fictitious view of what we've been given about peace is a lie. What do I mean by that? We think that the ultimate goal is to have inner peace. That is partially true. But how do you obtain inner peace if you haven't focused on the internal chaos and conflict that you go through every day? So we try to obtain peace because it literally becomes a lie, because we're trying to obtain someone else's version of what peace is, which is like sitting up in a mountain somewhere, meditating and not showering for 3 weeks, and we have locks growing, and that's considered peaceful. I obtain nirvana. I've reached a higher state, samadhi, etc., etc., etc. But like I said, the problem with that is that's almost an escape. Excuse me. Came back from Miami and I got sick for some reason. But anyway. So that is like escaping from yourself. Trying to find some nirvana, some everything, but you're not dealing with the internal chaos and conflict. I'm trying to reach it by joining an ashram, joining a monastic order, instead of facing that part of ourselves. There is only passion. What is your passion? Every one of us has some passion that fuels us and drives us every day. That passion can be sports if you're an athlete. That passion could be the stock market if you're a stockbroker. That passion could be collecting antique cars if that's your passion. Or buying older model cars, muscle cars, and rebuilding them. It can be traveling. It can be mastering yourself. Those are your passions. And you should use those passions to fuel you to greater heights. You should use those passions in the moments of the most laziest times or the most stagnated times. You should use that passion to fuel you to greater heights. Through passion, I gain strength. I utilize my passion in times of need, when I'm being lazy, when I'm stagnated, when I'm everything. And when I overcome that stagnation, when I overcome that laziness, I gain strength over myself. I gain a certain strength over myself that fuels me and propels me to greater heights. Through that strength that I just gained, I gain power. I now have more power over myself, more mastery over myself, more control over myself. Through power, I gain victory. That very power I just gained, I now have victory. Victory over what? Through victory, my chains are broken. You now become victorious over your own bullshit. The very shit that has held you down and tied you down and binded you you now become victorious over that very part of yourself, and you break away your chains, the mental slavery chains, and you become free. You become a master over yourself, and you're no longer binded or held down. Now, excuse me. Sith Sorcery. Let's get it popping. Now we're into the meat, juicy part of it all. Traditionally, Sith magic, also known as Sith Sorcery, was an arcane expression of Force ability, first developed and practiced by the original Sith species, through which they manipulated the power of the dark side. The very name of the Sith was adopted by the Dark Jedi exiles of 100-Year Darkness, who combined Sith mysticism with their own experiments into dark side power to create even more strange rituals and alchemical sciences. Sith magic, while as much a part of the dark side as endowments like Force lightning, was accessible only to those Force sensitive who possessed an intrinsic relationship with the dark side. Through the recitation of spells, execution of hand gestures, and or the handling of various artifacts, Darksiders were able to channel the raw power of the Force's dark side. They were able to warp people's minds, alter the environment, and obliterate whatever obstacles stood in their way. Now, as I'm saying this, don't just think externally. Apply this internally, or use it as an internal method. How you can alter your mind, how you can alter your environment by going into your subjective and working there to create a new objective environment. And then you will obliterate whatever obstacles stand in your way. Males who achieved mastery were known as Sith sorcerers, mages, magicians, or wizards, while females who practiced Sith sorcery were referred to as Sith sorceresses or witches. Now, nature of Sith sorcery. It's an innate gift by those whom it was used. Sith magic, excuse me, y'all. Sith magic, also called Sith sorcery, was described as the full destructive power of the dark side of the Force. Its strength was derived from using the emotions that many people label as negative, and grow stronger and more powerful by mastering that part that people consider negative emotions. To untrained Force sensitive, Sith magic was sometimes seen as a musical ripple of energy. Sith magic was perceived differently by those who subjected to its power. Some Force sensitive beings felt as though it consumed their life energy, while others became physically weaker and felt like all their strength was being siphoned. Sounds like vampire magic, doesn't it? Some sensitive without any Force training suffer from headaches while an atmosphere permeated with the residual energy of Sith magic. Some people, even now, when you practice magic and you release all your energy, you get some headaches. And that's because we're not familiar with using the dark current a lot of times. So it can overwhelm you with the amount of energy that you're receiving, which can and does sometimes lead to headaches. So now I'm going to describe certain things of what Sith sorcery was utilized for, okay? It was Sith Sorcery applications. Then I'm going to get to how we apply this today. Mental. Sith Sorcery is a complex power that can be used to assault the mind of yourself and others in ways that are both difficult to counter and hard to understand. Like the Force, Sith Sorcery could be used to alter the perceptions of others and dominate their minds, but also with the power of the dark side fully behind it, you could utilize it to overcome your own obstacles and blockages. Strong users of art could dominate and control even the strongest willed of individuals, as well as mind control large groups of people. Some of you all have that power and potential even now without even knowing about this. You've always had the ability to influence people's minds. You've always had the ability to influence large crowds of people. That's your gift. Never let anybody make you think it's negative or weak or wrong to do that. As a matter of fact, it's more powerful than trying to be super compassionate, super loving, and super caring and step into people's ways when they need to figure things out for themselves. Physical. Using Sith Sorcery and its ability to manipulate and counter the dark side of the Force directly, Sith magicians could create a variety of spells. Using the magic, pure manifestations of the dark side could be created and used against people, objects, things of that nature. Healing. You could use Sith Sorcery to heal yourself by tapping into the energy of a planet, nature, or whatever the case may be, to heal yourself. Sith also utilize necromancy. Now you understand why I did a series on necromancy, because I utilize a lot of this when I work this kind of sorcery. When not even Sith magic could bring the dead back to life, so to speak, the Sith Sorcery could be used to both call upon spirits and subdue spirits. In doing so, the user could bind the spirit to themselves and amplify their power. So you could bind these spirits and utilize the knowledge, wisdom of these spirits, also tap into the power of these spirits and bind it to yourself. You can use it to enchant someone or enchant people if it's something you need to do to get some work done. So these are some of the different principles, the different usages of Sith Sorcery. Now, let's deal with the 5 major principles of Sith Sorcery. The keys of Sith Sorcery. Keys unlock doors. The keys to Sith Sorcery are those that unlock the potentials of power that the sorcerer may wield, and they are ingredients within the cauldron. Now, we've discussed some of this before. Some of y'all are new, so you might have not heard this before. The first key of Sith Sorcery is desire. Without desire, your ritual will surely fail. This first statement is very profound. I have many questions. I get many questions from different individuals. Some will say, sorcery, the ritual is working. Others will say, I'm not understanding why it's not working. Or it's just not working out. So I'll ask them, what is your desire? How is your desire? Is your desire matching your intention? Is it matching your intention? If your intention is this result, this, that, how strong is your desire? behind that intention. Desire stems from passion, power, wanting to obtain power, lust, sexuality, sensuality, your plans, your goals, your ideas of life, things of that nature. You must have, however, to work this sorcery, you must have a true need to see the change you wish to affect. Do you really have a need behind what you're trying to affect? In other words, are you just doing it because you want to seem like you're deep and powerful and such a dark sorcerer or magician? Or are you doing it because you really have a need behind what you're trying to do and what you're trying to affect and change? For example, are you trying to change the obstacles that keep blocking you? If that's a strong, really strong desire behind it, you will eventually topple down those obstacles. Desire is the motivation behind your working. And it must be felt. This desire must be felt deeply and to the extent that if your need goes unfulfilled, it will cause you pain. Now, ask yourself, when you work your rituals, is your desire so strong that if this need goes unfulfilled, does it cause you emotional pain? Does it cause you physical pain? Does it cause mental pain? If your desire is that strong, then you should see results. Cloak yourself in your desire, meaning wrap yourself up in that desire. Just be in that desire and pull it towards you. Pull that desire, that want, that need towards you. That's utilizing the power of your subconscious mind, the power of the darkness. Let your let your yearning shake you. Let it shake you so bad that you ache in agony if you don't get this desire accomplished. And only when you cannot bear the craving for change that you intend, release it into the cosmos, nature, universe, whatever makes you happy. Release it into the cosmos in orgasmic delight, knowing that you have wrought your will. That's the first key of sorcery or magic. How strong is your desire? How strong is your desire? If you're half-assing it, guess what your result will be? Half-ass. If your desire is so strong that, like it said, it literally causes you pain, then let that desire build up so strong that it's almost overwhelming. That when you finally release it out into the cosmos, it's almost like you're having an orgasm. And that will fuel and empower that intention, that desire. However, don't just get stuck on desire, because the second key behind this is your timing. You have to time when you do your rituals, especially depending what is the purpose of the ritual. Before the serpent strikes, it rears its head and contemplates the best time to engage its fangs. Successful sorcery depends on knowing when the target is in their most receptive state. Let me say that again. Successful sorcery depends on knowing when the target is in their most receptive state. Consciousness is an obstacle to outside unconscious influence. That conscious mind, that distractive mind, that aware mind can be an obstacle. If you're trying to influence somebody while they're, in an unconscious way. Therefore, the best time to cast your spells when your target is asleep. Hypothetically, let's say you have a new manager, supervisor, boss, whatever, and you're trying to get this promotion. It gives you a better income, and you feel that you're the most qualified. Well, throw a little more emphasis and power behind it to ensure that you get that promotion. And if you know that your boss normally comes into work, let's say at 8 a.m., and you know that somewhere between 12 and 8 a.m., he has to sleep at least 4 hours to 8 hours. If that's the case, then the best time for you to do your rituals would be sometime after midnight to somewhere around 4 a.m. That's when usually they should be asleep, especially if they got to get up early, be to work at 8, which means 9 times out of 10, they're going to have to get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, get dressed, get ready, and get their ass to work. So somewhere between 12 a.m. or midnight and 4 a.m. is one of the best times to do your ritual. They are more receptive at that time to your influence, your subconscious influence. You're influencing their subconscious mind, planting a thought, an idea in their subconscious mind. Better still, the sorcerer should know when the target is in a dream state of sleep, which typically occurs in the last 2 to 3 hours before waking. So let's say, like I just said, the individual gets up at 5:30 or 6. They should be in a deep dream state 2 to 3 hours before they wake up at 6, let's say. So 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. would be an ideal time to do your ritual. Now, yes, you may get tired. You may have to get up and do this ritual. You're tired because you got to get up early too. But if you really want something that bad, your ass will get up around 3 o'clock and do a ritual with your strongest desire to make sure that you get that promotion, which will give you $15,000 more annually, let's say, because you feel you're the most qualified. You would get up and do it to make sure you get that promotion. If you're not willing to do that, then you ain't going to get no results. You might as well just stay sleeping and wish and pray to Jesus to give you the results. Not happening. So working sorcery is most effective if done after midnight. Nighttime has always been the time of sorcery. While the masses of people are at rest, the flow of personal energy resonating into the living force is at its lowest. This is a kind of psychic low tide when the streams of consciousness and biorhythms are at a low. Nighttime provides the path of least resistance and should be utilized by the would-be successful sorcerer or sorceress. The third key is imagery. It's raining, by the way, so if this starts to act funny, just know it's raining here, like really loud. Anyways, the third key is imagery. The Sith Sorcerer must prepare well the trappings of the thing that is to be. Imagery is an intellect-saving device, a constant reminder to the conscious and unconscious mind of your intended outcome. Imagery is symbolic of our desires. Pictures, drawings, writings, and sculptures, even sound and sense, build a blueprint of your intent. Images can be manipulated in the ritual chamber. Like actors in a play you have wrote. In the theater of the mind's eye, the symbols we choose solidify and make real the fantasy we employ towards our goals. Just as, for example, Hollywood created this voodoo doll version, is an example of using imagery towards the end of desire. Just as is the act of the boy who carves the name of his amor, his love, on a tree inside the heart. If your desire for the attention, let's say, of a lover, or to attract a lover, then use a well-contrived fantasy. Contract the map of what will come to be through drawings or by role play. See the situation as you intend it. See it as if it's real, as if you're glimpsing into the future, into a future you are unfolding. If it is material things you desire, visualize yourself as being surrounded by these things. Gaze upon the images of your desires. Surround yourself with sights, sounds, and smells that represent your yearnings. Become like a lodestone, which attracts a situation or thing you wish. To enact the destruction of another, for example, you must visualize destroying them in your mind. You must visualize burning them, burying them underneath the ground, drowning them, whatever the case may be. If you really been violated, somebody's really out to hurt you, visualize these things in your mind. You burning them, destroying them, drowning them, punching them, whatever it takes. You have to literally visualize this in your mind as if it's happened already. Then, destroy the image you have created of your target as vividly as possible. Images utilized by the sorcerer or sorceress are mechanisms to manifesting reality. Craft your images well, and they become as real. The fourth key is direction. Accumulating the force within and tempting it with your desires is a better part of a successful spell. But learning to direct the energies and completely release them is far more vital to the operation. Once you have cast your spell, you must not have concern for it any longer. Meaning, once you do your spell and you say, so it is, it's done, so shall it be, whatever the hell you say, to close that ritual, leave it there. Leave it there. Do not bring it with you. Do not start discussing it. Do not start saying, oh, I wish, I hope that the ritual worked. As that essentially you just negated everything you did, because that means you don't really believe or trust your power to manifest your desire. So once you've done this, let it be. Okay? Leave it there and do something completely opposite or different. Play video games, read a book, watch television, go to a movie, exercise, do something completely different to get your mind off of the ritual. You must have no doubt, I just said this, you must have no doubt that the spell has hit its target and has worked. Because if you have doubt, it will not work. The goal of casting a spell is to free oneself from the desire by directing the energies of that desire towards the goal. Worrying about the effectiveness of the spell only weakens the emotional energy that you have sent out. It is akin to pulling back that which you have thrust into reality. When casting your spell, you must vent all your emotional energies into ritualistically directed force, pull the trigger and release the bullet, knowing that the target will be hit. Lastly, the fifth key is harmony. The harmony factor is summed up essentially as being realistic in the goals you set. Be realistic, y'all. Meaning, if you're making $15,000 a year, $25,000 a year, and you want $1 million, it's not realistic unless you hit the lottery. And the chances of doing that are very small. Being realistic saying is, I make $25,000 a year. I want to make $50,000 a year by 6 months from now. $50,000 or more in 6 months to a year. So to do the ritual is not so much doing the ritual for the money, it's for the roadways, okay, the crossroads to be open for the, let's say, opportunity to make that amount is presented to you, whether it's a new job, whether it's a promotion. This is the fifth key, is harmony, being realistic in the goals you set. Do not be unrealistic. If your ass, damn, I always forget her name. Okay, if your ass looks like Esther from Sanford and Sons, and you want Wesley Snipes as your man, your ass is not being realistic, man. You look like Butterface Esther, but you want Wesley Snipes. It's not happening, son. Sorry. That's not realistic. And I'd be the first to tell you, what the hell you think you're doing? That's real unrealistic. But if you want to do the ritual and fool yourself, go ahead. So be realistic. This is especially true in working rites of lust or compassion. The sorcerer must be honest enough with themselves to know their limitations. Everybody has limitations. I'll give you an example. I'm not Eli Manning. I could kick his ass today for messing up a couple times in the game. Everyone is not Saquon Barkley. He had a pretty good game as a rookie today. Yes, I'm a Giants fan, and we should have won that damn game. But anyways. But for me to think that I'm as good as Eli Manning or Saquon Barkley or Odell Beckham, who the hell am I fooling? I know I'm not that good, so I know my limitations. I'm nice in baseball and I'm nice in basketball, but I ain't that level. If I was, I would have retired a few years back as a millionaire. This means you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Know what you can and cannot do. If you are less than attractive or ugly or just ridiculous, face the fact that the supermodel that you want will not bend to your attentions no matter how potent your craft is. But yet people do this all the time. The greatest asset to the sorcerer is knowing what assets he or she has available to them. What is your gifts, your powers, and your potential? Self-knowledge is the greatest strength. We must be honest with ourselves about our limitations. Sorcery is like the nature of the force itself. Success depends on working with harmony rather than against it. Then the last couple quotes, and then we'll start taking some juicy questions from my beloved people. Amen? Anyways, all right. Now, if I could just find these damn quotes. Anyway, let me go up here because my quotes are somewhere up here somewhere. Okay, here we go. Maybe I don't have them. Goddamn quotes disappear, man. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start taking questions. And we're going to see what's real. What's good, my peoples? Shit, I don't even know I'm funny sometimes. Let me stop. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. Don't worry, Gypsy guys. I got my my tea ready. Well, I ain't got it ready. I got the packets out. Got my honey ready. I'm gonna drink it to help with this fast cough. So what's the question? I know y'all got some questions. Let me go up here and scroll. Let me scroll. Somebody pop something up in here. Okay, yes. As Tarek says, you can, the best time to influence somebody is while they're asleep. The problem is some of us are lazy asses, so we don't like to do that shit. We like to sleep too. I don't sleep a lot. Ever since I got into working sorcery magic, I just don't sleep a lot, y'all. I got too much energy running through me. And what's interesting, before I even did this class, like 2 nights ago, I was woken up in the middle of the night saying, yo, do some sorcery. You know what I'm saying? Apply more of this Sith sorcery into your life. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Of all the shit I do, all this sorcery magic, all this left-hand path shit, the shit that resonates with me the most is Sith. And let me tell you why. It's not so much because it's a movie and the fictitious characters and all that. No. It's because of these principles. And the principles are very simple. First of all, I'm not that kind of person that likes to follow anybody. I'm not that kind of person that I bow down to anybody. Even when I was younger, I was never about following people. Ever. You hear me? Ever. That's just not some shit that I do. So, because of that, there are certain things that I look at. And if I'm going to work some shit, I have to work something that puts me in the position of power. Puts me in a position of being able to control my life. So, when I look at the Sith and the symbolism of the Sith, for example, there's an individual named Darth Bane. He actually is what created the rule of 2. But anyways, Darth Bane was a miner, meaning he worked in the mines, basically for no money. He was basically a slave to the corporations and society. Sounds familiar. And he raised himself up above that to become one of the greatest Sith lords that ever existed. Okay? And through that, he understood something. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. Through his journey and experience and walking through life, one of the things that he developed, one of his quotes that resonated with me, that really stuck out to me years ago. When I talk about years ago, y'all, I'm talking about I've been walking and actually living more as a Sith since like about 2007 is when I really started to apply all these principles and walk this shit. Okay? One of his philosophies was equality is a chain. Like obedience, like fear or uncertainty or self-doubt. We all have fallen for this bullshit ass lie that we're all equal. That's not true. Some of y'all have gifts that I can never have. So how equal am I to you? Now, some of y'all have gifts that other people don't have. So you're not equal in any sense, shape, form, or fashion. Okay? But this is the lie society promotes to keep the strong binding to the weak, while these so-called powers that really run society keep at it to keep you down. Because if I lump you with everybody else, you'll never discover how powerful you really can be. You understand? So I started realizing when I looked at life, I said, you know what? Really think about these things. Are you always going to be a person who comes close to reaching your potential, but then your compassion or your weaknesses allow you to be manipulated back to following some fool? Or are you going to take control? Like Darth Sidious said, you must begin by gaining power over yourself. So I realized this. When I started studying a lot of this, I started realizing you have the only thing you could really do is gain power over yourself first. We're so busy trying to gain power over everything external, but we don't gain power over ourselves. Thus, we always stay in a state of half-assing, straddling the fence, whatever the case may be. Because we don't strive to really empower ourselves. Okay? So we keep being basically somebody's servant. Okay? Darth Bane also says equality is a lie, a myth to appease the masses. Simply look around and you will see the lie for what it is. I don't know if y'all can hear that thunder, but it's getting down out here. There are those with power, those with strength and the will to lead. And there are those meant to follow, those incapable of anything but servitude and meager, worthless existence. That is spot on, y'all. Some of y'all know this firsthand. There's always going to be followers on this planet. You cannot get everybody to stand up on their own 2 feet and be their own God. Unfortunately, we're going to have more followers on this planet than you're going to have leaders. So I said, it's time for the leaders to lead, so become that leader. Just like I tell y'all every week, it's time for y'all to lead and become the leaders in your everyday life. So some of y'all already embody this power. Some of y'all already have that power to be a leader. The few of y'all that I met, I can see that power. But at the same time, few of y'all that I met that I see that power in, y'all also have the weakness of overly being compassionate, being too nice or trying to be too caring. So then you limit yourself. So when I look at this whole path and I say, well, really, like, what are you trying to really accomplish? You know, being a master of yourself, reaching these greater heights. And you reach greater heights. Then what? What's the next step? Do you just become greater and then you just fade away in time? Or do you become greater and make an impact that stays behind even after you physically cease to exist? The choice is yours. All right, so where am I at? All right. Fuck am I at here? This shit always skipping when I'm trying to read something. So yeah, like I was saying, if you are really trying to be effective, do your rituals when people are asleep. Okay, let's say if it's an external ritual. Do it when people are asleep. You will see greater results than if you do it before you go to sleep. Meaning you might just have to set your alarm to get up in the middle of the night and do some working. If your desire is that strong, you'll do it. I like that. So Tarak says, I have this technique. If they are far away, imagine that someone is sitting in a chair and try to clearly see the person. And ask him or her to say their name and then follow with the conversation. What I tend to do is when I do rituals like that, I will see the person. Okay, first of all, I create a shadow form of myself. I project myself to that person. So I'm in a shadow. Okay? And then I visualize whispering in their ear as they're asleep. Whatever you want to say, you say. And you know how I know this works? Because I've had text messages the next day where people say, yo, I saw you in my sleep last night. I saw you in my dream. Yeah, it could have very well been me who did that, but I'm not going to incriminate myself like that. But anyways, the point is this. That's a very effective method, the way Brother Tarak has explained it. It's a very effective method. He created his own method. I shared one of my methods. You all have to create your own methods. If you already have one, keep doing it. But these methods are very important if you're going to be very effective in your ritual working. Mario Polk says, oh shit, he changed his name on here. Anyways, most of my work is done during most people's sleeping hours and have been doing this for years. Wow, this is one of the reasons why I have been so successful in my ritual working. Spot on, brother. That's 100% correct. Jeff Moore says, yes, I enjoy this type of magic. Okay. Trust me, I'll be better before the next ritual. Yeah, I don't sleep too much. I usually don't go to sleep before 2 o'clock. I'd be up by like 7 something. All right. Yes, I choose to be happy, a slave to conditions. Not just conditions, a slave to your own mind, a slave to society, a slave to your family, a slave to your children. You're supposed to take care of your children. That's something you're supposed to do. If you had them, you're supposed to take care of them. But there's nowhere in there in the manual that says you should be a slave to your children. But unfortunately, some people are slaves to their children. And that's the raw reality of life. People lose themselves in their children. And then when their children get older and fade away, because children are going to get older, they're going to have their own life. And sometimes they resent their parents for whatever crazy reason. And you're stuck hurt and feeling upset because I did all this for my child, and the damn heifer had the damn balls to just fade away like that. That's life. That's just what happens in life. That's the cycle of life. The kids are close to you while growing up, and they get older, they start living their life, and they start to fade away. So it doesn't mean you should be a slave to your kids. You did your job. You took care of your kids. Now it's time for you to live your life. That means getting back on the horse, putting that saddle on, and riding that horse. Well, anyways, y'all know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway. If you like Darth Maul and you want to work some rituals like this, get the statue. Some of these comic book stores have some of the most awesome statues of some of these archetypes. They just charge an arm and an ass for some of that shit. I done seen one of Darth Maul for like $325. The shit was beautiful, bro. But I ain't spending no $325 on a statue that's this big. It's just not gonna happen, bro. Not sorry. Well, all right, Das Obi. What's your thoughts on spiritual powers, principalities, in different areas being able or not able to do certain works in those areas? All right, first of all, on this path, you the God. And nothing restricts you from doing any work unless you accept it to restrict you. What I mean by that is this. Let's say there's a certain area in, wherever people live that people say is haunted, has a bunch of negative or dark spirits or this and this and that. Don't go there. Don't do rituals there, whatever. I'm just using that as an example. That in itself was created, that whole story that people made up was created to keep people away from there in the first place. What I mean by that is to keep people away that are too weak or scared to do the ritual there, and only the strong would actually go there because they understand what is really happening there to do rituals. So not to call anybody strong or weak, what I'm saying is never let anybody tell you shouldn't do rituals in certain principalities, different places, different areas. Bullshit. This whole planet is yours. Any part of this planet is yours. Wherever the hell you want to work a ritual, you do it at. Within legal bounds. Like, I should throw that in because I don't want people to get roped off for being in areas that are considered trespassing at certain times. All right? You still got to be wise when you do this stuff. So, no, don't ever feel like areas or sections of a city or areas or homes or things are off limits. That's really where you should be doing rituals at. If you're not afraid to tap into the dark powers, dark spirits, and empower yourself and utilize that for some serious work. Serious stuff. See, because let me tell you, y'all, unfortunately, a lot of us have this semi-fluffy mentality where when we want to work with spirits, we want to work with a spirit that hugs us and kisses us and loves us and tell us how divine and wonderful we are. See, we don't want to work with that spirit that look you right in the face and say, dude, you're full of shit. Stop bullshitting yourself and get down to some serious work. Oh, what? You can't do it because you're scared of me because I'm a dark shadow or I'm just so-called dark energy? That spirit is just going to turn around and leave you because they see you're not ready yet. You still convinced by others in religious mentality that you shouldn't do this. Nah. People want all the fluffy Pillsbury Doughboy type of spirits. You know, you poke it in the stomach and, oh, we're best friends now. I love you. Fuck out of here. That's not spirits, y'all. That's not all of them. Some spirits literally smack you up, wake you up in the middle of the night, tipping things over, knocking things down like, yo, fool, wake up. We got some work to do. Your ass want to be snoring. Instead of just doing, you know what I'm saying? Because we're afraid. Oh, what's that? Oh, my God, I heard something. Oh, shit. Damn, what's this? Listen, pull your panties up, pull your boxes up, grab your balls or ovaries, and be strong and face the stuff. All right? Do some real work. Don't be afraid because you want to meet the angel Michael or the archangel Michael all the time. Because the opposite of the archangel Michael, you're going to encounter that eventually in your work anyways. And that's usually a darker energy, darker spirit that you really got to work with. You can't run from this shit all the time. All right, let's see. Massa. I don't know. Can you see and hear spirit? Are you asking me or are you asking in general? Because I'll answer it like this. I hear spirits more than I see them. I can see them, but I hear them more than I see them. You have to understand, spirits are nothing more than energy. And what I mean by that is, once your physical body ceases to exist, it decomposes, decays, go back into the earth. Energy is left behind. Science has already proven that everything is energy. Okay? So what happens is that physical body decay, the energy left behind. And it retains, some people, that energy can retain its consciousness. Some of that spirit can retain full consciousness, half consciousness, whatever the case may be. These things are all around us. Just because we can't see it with the physical eye all the time does not mean that things are not all around us. Because sometimes you can sense when something is around you without seeing it. For example, you can feel like there's something right here, the back of your hair on the back of your neck, if you have hair back there. I don't really have that hair. But anyways. So you can feel some shit moving on your body, like your skin crawling, and you can feel like there's a presence there, but when you look, there's nothing there. Other times, some of y'all coming out your house, it's daylight out, but by the tree, you swear you see this dark spirit, this dark shadow, like looking at you. That's because energy is all around us. The shit is always there. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist to our mortal minds and mortal senses that we've dumbed down because we've been detached from that reality, but it's there. So I can hear spirits more than I see them. I do see them sometimes, but I can hear them more. Others can see them more. It depends on the individual. Some people have those gifts, others don't. Dark light, you 100 on that. Dark light says, that's always been my weakness. My parents made me feel guilty if I wasn't feeling sorry for other people not on my level. Well, see, that's how we're made to feel. Let me say what I mean by that. You have to really take inventory of all the programming your family taught you and religion taught you. We were always taught that we all have to be on the same level. School teaches that. All kinds of things teach this. Even when you play sports, they try to teach you we're all on the same level. That's bullshit. Because if everybody was on the same level, you wouldn't have LeBron James, Michael Jordan in the past. You wouldn't have somebody excelling above the rest of his teammates. Okay? You wouldn't have that if we were all supposed to be on the same level and we're all equal. No, that's bullshit. You know that's bullshit. You can just look at some people's bodies and know that's bullshit. All right? I'm just being real. You can just look at it and be like, this motherfucker comes from another specimen that ain't actually human. Let me stop. But anyways. Okay, Gypsy Goddess asked a really good question. Like on Chaos Magic, using orgasms for baneful purposes. How would you balance that? Something pleasurable and manifesting havoc, ultimate punishment on mortal enemy. All right, well, see, that depends. All right, so let's say you work in individual sex magic, because everybody gets, not everybody, but some people get twisted that sex magic has to always be with a partner. Wrong. One of the most potent, powerful forms of sex magic, period, even if you're utilizing a chaos magic form of sex magic, is being able to bring yourself to an orgasmic state. But a lot of us have guilt because of that, because of religion. You know, masturbation is considered wrong, all this bullshit, right? If you can't bring yourself to an orgasmic state and you always rely on someone else, what happens if that person's not there and you're really trying to work something? So first of all, get accustomed to doing this kind of magic as solitary. So meaning, now, you bring yourself to an orgasmic state. Let's say Gypsy Goddess, you working it down there, right? You hitting the little man on the boat. I mean, you just touching it right. You just like like you ascending to heaven, like this and shit, right? At the same time you're doing that, you see the person you want to destroy. So what happens is, yes, you're in an orgasmic delight that feels wonderful, but your mind can actually throw destructive thoughts to that individual, okay? And the orgasm, or the state of reaching an orgasm repetitively but stopping, propels that curse, that visualization even stronger. I'm going to give you another example of what I mean. A lot of people do this shit, the sex magic, partner or by yourself, and they think that it's just reaching an orgasm and then you just bust off and you're all good. That's the worst shit you could do. What you should do, right, is get to the edge, as they call it sometimes. Edge. You get to the edge, meaning you just like 2 seconds from just ripping through. You know what I'm saying? Like you just have the most ultimate orgasm. You know it's like right there. Stop. Yes, that may seem like you're torturing yourself, which is exactly what you're doing. But you stop before you reach that state. What happens is this. Let me see what I could use to describe it. All right, so let's say this is you, and your first orgasm takes you to here, but before you orgasm, you stop. So that means you filled the bottle to here with your energy, but you stop. Breathe a little bit, okay? Then start again, and you build it to here. You take it to the edge, then you stop. You build it to here. Take it to the edge and then stop. Eventually what's going to happen is, instead of just orgasming, which you only fill the bottle to this and then you're done, okay? Take it to the top. Bring yourself to the edge, building it up. So when you get to the top, your desire is so strong, it just blows the cap off this bottle. And let's say the cap is just straight tightened up. You still so strong, it blows it off. Now imagine if you focus on destroying somebody, seducing somebody, whatever the case may be, how much more potent and powerful that is if you, instead of just releasing it all in one moment. All right? It's like you're doing repetition. You get into the edge and then you stop and then you build it up again. That's building the energy so strong that, trust me, that visualization, that desire hits its mark a lot better than if you just release it all at once. Just saying. You like the bottle analogy? Anyways, whatever. What's next? Exactly. Gypsy Goddess says she's done it. She knows it's powerful as hell. It's better than just like going full tilt and just trying to get there the first time around. Build it, and they will come. Isn't that what they say? Build it and they will come? Well, anyways, that's another story. So, yes. When it's done like that, the results are mind-blowing. And the orgasm is mind-blowing too, I'm just saying. What I don't like, it's when it stays subconsciously. Another day you touch yourself, just being a hedonistic tourist, and your fucking enemy comes to mind. God damn it. And I want to control. That's true. All right. Gypsy guy, all right, let me say this. I don't know if you've done this before, but next time you get to this state, that edge, right? I want you to visualize your body. Your spirit leaving your body. And I want you to project yourself to that enemy. That doesn't mean you stop. You keep edging, but you have to visualize like you're actually traveling to this enemy. And then when you get in front of this enemy, because you will see them, take a dagger and stab it through their heart. See what happens the next time. What results you get from that. All right? Try that next time and see what works. All right. Hit me with more questions, y'all. See, and the reason I say this is this. Okay. Utilizing the Sith and working the Sith. The Sith utilize their emotions when they want to destroy their enemy. And all they do is focus on visualizing their enemy. And they will use all of their passion, their desire, their energy to hit their target. They will meditate day and night. They will visualize confronting that enemy and have no remorse about it. The reason why a lot of destructive spells don't work is because in the process, some of us tend to have too much compassion, remorse, or guilt that hits us while we're trying to destroy that enemy. Thus, you will not receive effective results. If any of that rises to the surface, you're basically doing the shit for nothing. So as a Sith, you understand that your main target is destruction. Let's say that target is all about destruction. You will not ease up and allow guilt, remorse, compassion, or any of that to seep through. You will face it. You will confront them, okay, in the mind's eye first, because you can confront and destroy your enemy without you even having to see them. A Sith doesn't let up. Humans let up. And what I mean is this moralistic society we live in lets up and lets compassion and guilt subdue us. We allow it to subdue our passions. And once those passions are subdued, you just basically did it for nothing. Oh shit, I did something similar, and the results, the management team couldn't look at me in the face nor come around me, and another person became deathly ill. That's exactly correct, Jeff Moore. When you do this properly, and you utilize that desire, that emotion properly, you will get massive results. Okay? You will see it happen. And it doesn't take that long. But the key is always building up that desire. Okay? That's right. Juicy Goddess, if they hurting, if they're your own family and they hurting people, listen, let me tell you this, y'all, and I told y'all this before. That's another brainwashing we have. It's all about family. I don't roll like that. You know how I roll? If you respect me, I respect you. If you've been loyal to me, I'm loyal to you. Just because you family does not give you an out or an excuse for bullshit. So if you come at me wrong, you my own family, I still take you out. I don't have any of that restrict me, I'm loyal to you. Once you cross that line, I don't care what our titles are that we give ourselves titles in this life. Once that line is crossed, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to be hurt, period. Other than that, Most of my focus is on self development, self growth. But every so often, you have somebody act up, act a fool, cross the line, try to disrespect, try to play their game, do all that. It's on. Once you cross that line, I'm going to destroy you. I don't have no remorse about it. Period. That's right, Gypsy Goddess. You can be in love and be a Lilith and fuck someone up at the same time. Because, like I said, once you cross that line, I don't care who you are, it's a wrap. I'm going to take you out. And if more people conducted themselves like that, you'd have less of this bullshit happening in the world, taking control and being masters over our life. Anyways, I think this is freezing. Yeah, it's freezing. It froze. Yeah, it's still freezing. Oh, damn it.